So this afternoon, I have the task of going through the suggested format and size of our respective communication departments based on the size of our churches. So the first one, we are looking at what we would consider micro churches, and these are churches that has a membership which is not exceeding 40 individuals. So these persons, for the structure of your communication department, this is what is recommended, that you have a communication secretary. And I would just like to share a few excerpts. I'm not certain if Sister Ishel has this as a part of her presentation, but I wanted to make mention, and it is from our church manual under communications, page 80. And it says, communication. Communication ministry calls for the support of every lay person, church employee, and church institution. The communication department promotes the use of a sound program of public relations and all contemporary communication techniques, sustainable technologies, and media in the promulgation of the gospel. The church should elect a communication secretary, and where needed, a communication committee. We must take every justifiable means of bringing the light before the people. Let the press be utilized, and let every advertising agency be employed that will call to attention the work. Means will be devised to reach the hearts, and some of the methods used in this work will be different from the methods used in the work of the past. So emphasis here, it says, some of the methods used in this work will be different from those in the past. And I know for most of you, whether it is your first time being as a part of the communication department within your respective churches, or you've been doing it for some time, you would have noticed that, especially due to COVID, it has prompted us to develop a new normal. And now that we have been using the digital platforms, gone are the days that we are going to be utilizing just the traditional means and ways of communicating. As it relates, when it comes to those churches that are 40 individuals and or less, the suggestion is that there is a communication secretary that is assigned. Normally, I know that we would consider these individuals as directors, but the manual makes reference of a communication secretary. The suggestion is that he or her has an assistant, and because we are in the technology age, if possible, to have an individual who has been assigned as a social media personnel. For medium churches, these are for individuals who have membership of 40 to 80 individuals in their churches as members, active members who are coming. This is not for those churches who have X amount of persons on their books, but they don't have active members or regular members coming to the weekly services. The suggestion for the communication department for these churches are as follows: the communication secretary, an assistant, a social media personnel, a graphic representative, and if possible, someone who has media producer and or videographer skills. And I would want to segue a little bit in saying that I know traditionally for videographers, and I know that we have a very able videographer from our Belize Creatives team, Junior Montejo, that is on this afternoon. I know for those of you who do graphics and videos, you may notice that within the last couple years, Canva, which is an online platform, gives you the opportunity to do designs in print and video. You might not necessarily have to have an extensive skill set within graphic designs or motion graphics, but definitely someone who has an eye and an ear for audiovisual, that would be a plus to have in your church. And last but not least, those churches which carry a membership of 80 plus individuals, active members, this is a suggested format for your church: that you have a communication secretary, an assistant, someone who assists in social media, A media producer would also be the person who is responsible for video. A website manager, someone who is responsible for public relations, the news, your graphic representative, and of course, if your church has an active online presence, it is suggested that you assign someone as your broadcast manager who works with the audio visual behind the scenes, and last but not least, a producer who ensures the actual proper running of the program. So I'll go over this once more. For small churches, the suggestion is to have a communication secretary, an assistant, and someone to assist in social media. For medium churches, is to also include a graphic representative and a media producer or videographer. And for large churches, to include someone for a website, someone for public relations who deals with the news, a graphic representative, broadcast, and a producer. And that is my presentation for this afternoon. We just also want to share that in